Hi, everyone. You are listening to Radio Cherry Bombe, and I'm your host, Kerry Diamond, coming to you from New York City. I'm the founder and editor of Cherry Bombe magazine. You know we love the bear here at Radio Cherry Bombe. We saw the trailer back in 2022, and we knew the show was going to be something special. We're lucky that we've been able to chat with some of the stars and the culinary producer over the years here on the pod. In honor of Season 3, which returns June 27th to Hulu, we're revisiting some of our bear interviews. You longtime listeners know this, but I used to own restaurants and, yes, dated a chef years ago, and the show has moved me in ways I can barely describe. First up in our bear celebration is Jeremy Allen White, who plays the complicated Carmy.
What's up?
Can I just ask you a question, maybe?
Of course, yeah.
I know who you are.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you're the most excellent CDC at the most excellent restaurant in the entire United States of America. What are you doing here, I guess?
Making sandwiches.
I chatted with Jeremy right when Season 1 debuted, so we do not talk about those Calvin Klein ads. Sorry to disappoint some of you. It's amazing to hear this conversation today because Jeremy had absolutely no idea that The Bear was going to be a hit, that he would win every acting award out there, or how much it would change his life. Stay tuned for our chat. Today's show is presented by Kerrygold, the iconic Irish brand famous for its beautiful cheese and butter made with milk from Irish grass-fed cows. If you are new to Kerrygold, lucky you, you have a whole world of butter and cheese to explore. We're going to focus on Kerrygold cheese today, which I love and always have in my fridge. Now that I work from home most days, I'm trying to be intentional about my snacking, and Kerrygold cheese paired with seasonal fruit is one of my favorite smart snacks. I love Kerrygold aged cheddar and Kerrygold reserve cheddar, two perfect cheddars as far as I'm concerned, with sliced apples or Asian pears. Kerrygold Dubliner, which is sweet and nutty, goes well with ripe, juicy peaches. And Kerrygold Cashel Blue farmhouse cheese pairs beautifully with figs and grapes. Add a handful of walnuts or some hearty crackers, and it's the perfect thing to tide you over between Zooms, deadlines, and emails. If you're snacking on the go, like I do on the days I record Radio Cherry Bombe, Kerrygold has made it easy with its new cheese snacks. Throw an apple and a Kerrygold aged cheddar cheese snack in your tote bag, and you're all set. Visit KerrygoldUSA.com to learn more about Kerrygold cheese, to browse recipes, and to find a store near you. Our show is also supported by Open Table. I'm excited to announce that we'll be back on the road very soon with Open Table for our Sit With Us community dinner series, which highlights amazing female chefs and restaurateurs in the Cherry Bombe and Open Table networks. It's been such a treat meeting so many of you at our dinners across the country. Thank you to everyone who joined us at Alma Cafe in New Orleans with Chef Melissa Arujo. Our next 3 Sit With Us dinners will take place at Le Bon Nosh in Atlanta with Chef Faro Vakili on June 17th, at Jose in Dallas with Chef Anastasia Quinones-Pittman on June 25th, and at Nostrana in Portland, Oregon with Chef Kathy Wims on June 30th. How does it work? You can come solo and sit at a Cherry Bombe community table, or bring a friend or two and we will seat you together. Tickets are available exclusively on Open Table. Just search for the restaurant on the Open Table app or opentable.com. Go to the Experiences tab to purchase a ticket, which includes a welcome drink and a 3-course or family-style meal. A portion of the proceeds from each dinner will benefit a local charity. Learn more about the Open Table and Cherry Bombe Sit With Us series at cherrybombe.com.
Chef, no, please do not touch that. This is the one time you listen to me. Please do not touch that. That's been going for 12 hours, okay?
That's my pot, Jeff. Everybody knows.
That's her pot.
That's my pot.
Use another pot, please. Chef, all right? Corner!
Jeremy Allen White, welcome to Radio Cherry Bombe.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
I have to tell you, The Bear absolutely killed me. You and the team really nailed restaurant life and culture. I told you this earlier, but I used to own some restaurants, and I was sobbing. I don't even think I made it through episode 3. I think I had to shut it off halfway through. 7's going to be the tough one for a lot of the restaurant folks to watch.
Sure. I'm sure our goal the whole time was to make it as true to back of house as we possibly could. But I don't think I put that much thought into how much PTSD that might give people that have worked in back of house or still work in back of house. But I'm so happy. I'm so happy it rang true to you, because that was really the goal.
Every time I saw one of those invoices stamped overdue and then the Sharpie meltdown, I was like, damn.
It's it. I mean, that was something I talked to a lot of cooks and chefs about. That sound that they would have dreams of the tickets coming in, and just hearing that sound, we had to use it all.
So how would you describe your character, Carmy?
He's gone through this incredible trauma of the loss of his brother. His identity is still wrapped up in being a chef and in being incredibly successful. He's had so much success, but if you finish the whole season of the show, Carmy speaks a lot in the 8th episode about sort of like the history. They didn't overwrite anything. There's not that much like exposition in the show, and then things are kind of more well understood in the 8th episode. And you realize that Carmy's been chasing this forever. He loved his brother. His brother was good at this thing. He's had a chip on his shoulder his whole life. He's gotten very successful at this. His identity is completely wrapped up in this, and everything seems so life and death. It's like death or glory for him. He's put everything into this. If he can't succeed, his life is over. If he can't succeed, he'll have glory. Or will he? What is success when you're that hungry for success? He's a very young, talented chef that's coming home and then trying to fix the restaurant, family restaurant.
Have you ever worked in a restaurant before?
I've never worked in a restaurant, no.
You didn't even wait tables?
I got into acting when I was pretty young, like 14 or 15. I didn't have super early success or anything. I get like a commercial or like this or that, and I never had to do another job while I was acting. But I've spent an incredible amount of time now learning in restaurants in the last, it'll be almost a year that I've been really spending time in restaurants and kind of like staging in different places. Yeah.
And how about cooking? Is it true you didn't know how to cook before this?
I could do a couple things, but really my interest level was low. I like appreciated good food. I wasn't skilled in the kitchen at all.
Who did the cooking when you were growing up?
I would say my dad cooked a little bit more. Breakfast was really important for him. He made us like a big breakfast every day. It was never cereal and oatmeal. He made a big deal out of breakfast. Yeah.
Oh, tell us what he made.
It was always like really heavy. There was always cheese, eggs, potatoes, bacon, sausage, lots of toast. A really like classic sort of like American style breakfast, but he would do it consistently, like pancakes and waffles, and it was really nice.
My breakfast was like a bowl of sugar smacks. And I think on the weekend, Entenmann's donuts.
Sure.
Jeremy, where did you grow up?
I grew up not far from where I am now. I'm in Williamsburg now, and I grew up in an area called Carroll Gardens.
Where I live right now. What was it like when you were growing up?
I loved it. I live on Sackett Street, really close to Bond. And at the time, Bond Street was pretty empty. It was like right by the Guana Canal and not a lot going on. And then I loved Smith Street and Court Street. They were really wonderful. Like, even then, there were some really good restaurants and like nice cafes. I had a church on my corner. The bells would ring. Yeah, it was a really nice place to grow up.
We'll be right back with today's guest. Today's show is brought to you by Le Creuset. Le Creuset is one of the most coveted kitchenware brands around, thanks to their legendary enameled cast iron cookware made in France. I have Le Creuset's Dutch oven in white and a small saucepan in meringue, and I treasure them and use them all the time. Now, Le Creuset is inviting us to bring that same sophistication and quality outside with their Alpine Outdoor Collection. Specifically designed for cooking over an open flame, this durable, high-performance collection will enhance any grilling or backyard barbecuing you have planned for this summer, or maybe all year round if you're one of those folks. There's the Alpine Outdoor Skillet, which is so useful and versatile. There's a pizza pan. I know more and more of you are making pizza at home and outdoors in particular, and maybe the most useful of them all, the Square Grill Basket, which is perforated and prevents small items from falling into the grill while still allowing heat and smoke to reach the food for that char-grilled flavor. If you love to grill fish or shellfish or veggies, you know what I'm talking about and why you need this. For more information, head to lecreuset.com or check out the link in our show notes. Happy grilling, everybody. If you're a fan of Cherry Bomb's print magazine, you know my love for photography runs deep. So I'm thrilled to share the news about a special pop-up experience happening later this June, right in New York City's historic Soho neighborhood. It's called Emotions of the Sun, and it's a partnership between Maison Veuve Clicquot and the legendary Magnum Photo Agency. 8 photographers from around the world were given carte blanche to create work inspired by the title of the experience. So imagine warmth, the interplay of light and shadow, and a sense of place. You can view their work at Emotions of the Sun, which will be open to the public from Monday, June 17th through Sunday, June 23rd at 216 Lafayette Street. On Thursday, June 20th from 7 to 8 p.m., I'll be in conversation with photographer Alex Webb. If you'd like to attend, tickets are free, but space is limited. You can RSVP via the link in our show notes. I would love to see you there. If you'd like to come view Emotions of the Sun on another date or time, you can visit veuve-clicquot.com to reserve your time slot and free ticket. I heard you went to culinary school for 2 weeks to prepare for the role. What was culinary school like?
I was so uncertain of myself stepping into the project in general because I knew it was so important to get all this stuff right. But they were supportive. I went with Io. Io played Sydney on the show. That was how I got to know her. That was the first time we met was in school, and us spending time together was really like just in there for 2 weeks until we started shooting. It was interesting to get to know somebody through that process of learning, and also get to know somebody through the language of cooking when so much of how Sydney and Carmy communicate is also through cooking. So that was really, really wonderful. We had some great teachers there, but I remember telling them, I just need to feel comfortable. I'll never be as good as Carmy because he's sacrificed so much time and put in so much effort. It's never going to happen. If I can look confident, that's all I need. So it was a lot of repetition, a lot of knife work over and over again. I wanted to get comfortable with like frying pans. So they just had me flip eggs for a couple hours to really make it seem like I had a comfort and it was second nature. And then something that was important to me that I didn't learn so much at ICE, but through the process of spending time in other kitchens, sort of like the movement. These kitchens are such small places and there's so many people in them. These chefs, they have a really graceful way of moving around each other. And that was something that was really important for me to capture. That was something I knew I could be.
It's really such a dance in a kitchen. How did the show even originate? Tell us a little bit about Christopher, the creator, why he came up with the idea, why he wanted to do the show.
Chris Storer created the show. I think at one point he had it written as a film. I think he's had this idea in his head for maybe around 10 years. And for a time it was a film. And then in the last couple of years, I guess FX took a look at it. Our producers, Nate and Hero, took a look at it. And they're like, we think it would be great as a TV. So that's kind of how that started. But story, I think, is really close to Chris. She grew up in Chicago. A lot of these characters, I think, are loosely based on the people he grew up with. I don't know how much he works in kitchens, but he's a really wonderful chef. He is very talented. And his sister, Courtney Storer, is a really wonderful professional chef. He most recently, was head chef at John and Vinny's in Los Angeles. She's really wonderful. So he always had an interest in the world. In the last, I guess, year and a half, things started coming together and we made it happen. But it's very much Chris's story he's been holding on to, I think, for a long, long time.
And Courtney was essentially the culinary director on the show, right? And sort of head food stylist, would you say?
Her and Maddie, yeah. Her and Maddie Matheson were all over. We had hot plates and stuff set up on another stage. So they'd all be sort of like cooking as we were cooking on stage. Everything worked, the kitchen they built on stage. We could cook on everything. And it was actually great. And we did often for camera. But yeah, they were kind of like food stylists. But also, I mean, for me, I just told them both, if you see me doing something in a scene that looks crazy or that doesn't ring true to you, just stop. Please say cut and come in and let's figure it out. Because they're both so capable. I knew they could do that. And they did, which was so helpful.
So that was a set. I really thought you shot in a restaurant.
For the pilot, we shot in a restaurant. That's the other thing. I mean, that's the sad thing. So we shot the pilot in July last year. There were so many spaces available because so many restaurants had closed, obviously. So we found like an empty kitchen that we could shoot in for the pilot. And then we shot our exteriors at the Beef, which is like a real Mr. Beef, which is a real restaurant in Chicago. And then we built the exact kitchen, though, from the pilot on stage for the rest of the series. But it was all functional. And it was still quite tight, but we gave ourselves like a little bit more room for camera.
You also staged at some restaurants in addition to culinary school. Can you say which restaurants and what some of the highlights were?
My first day, I went to Republique, and I can't even really call it staging. I was really just like standing in a corner that day. I'd never been to a kitchen at that level. I felt very overwhelmed. It's such a big restaurant. The staff is so large. It was really, really overwhelming. They were all lovely. Chris Store and Cooper Wade, who's a producer on the show as well, they had gone to a restaurant called Pas Jolie in Santa Monica. The chef there, Chef Dave Brand, was a Chicago chef, and he worked at Linea for a long time. And so they were like, okay, this guy lived in Chicago for a long time. He understands food in Chicago. Why don't you go meet with him? So I went to Pas Jolie, which is a really wonderful French restaurant, which recently got a Michelin star. I loved it there. It was like a lot more intimate. The crew there was a little bit smaller. Chef Dave was really, really lovely and patient with me. My first days there, I was doing prep. You can mess up here and there. It's not that big deal. But then by the end, I was on the line and I was preparing food for guests.
Oh, you did?
I was surprised. They kind of like sprung it on me. I felt like I wasn't given much of a choice. I had to be pushed a little bit, and it felt great. I had to trust myself, and it all worked out. Nobody got sick or anything.
And sometimes that really happens in a restaurant. I mean, you're short-staffed, and you just have to throw somebody right in, sink or swim, right?
Totally, yeah.
Jeremy, what did you learn about chefs that you didn't know?
I think I was aware of this with chefs. I didn't fully understand the sacrifice and commitment of time, the amount of time you have to work, the repetition. From my perspective, if you don't fully love this, why would you do it? And so those guys stick it out and they get to the next level and they have the success. I just have a tremendous amount of respect for the time, I think was really surprised to me.
Knowing what you now know, has it changed your relationship with restaurants and how you dine?
While we were doing the show, I've eaten in some really great places, and I've tried to understand service in a different way. I'm a bit more of a tough critic than I was a year ago walking into a restaurant, depending on what the restaurant is, of course. But yeah, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about how back of house works. And from Maddie, Maddie's a restaurateur. He has, so many restaurants in Toronto. So I've learned a lot about just the service industry as well. That was something that's really interesting to me. I feel like I can be a little bit of a punk sometimes to a restaurant now.
I want to talk about some of the other homework that you did. I know you read Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential to prep for the role. Just curious what you thought about that book and what you kind of brought or borrowed from Bourdain.
I really enjoyed the book. I'd read some of it before the show. What struck me, and I think what strikes everybody about him, passion, not only for kitchens and food, but for life. And I knew that Carmy needed that passion. He needed that drive. I needed to find something that he wanted so badly because nobody just wants to watch a guy who's angry and shouting at everybody all the time. Like there needs to be something there. I think what I really appreciated about the book and what I kind of like took away from it is it's just so nice to listen to somebody talk about how much they love this thing. And then I could try to just make Carmy love it.
I want to ask you about Chicago. I've been to Chicago a bunch of times. I'm not super well versed in all things Chicago, but it's your second show based in Chicago, as all your fans know. First, I need you to bring me up to speed on this whole Chicago sandwich and Italian beef thing, because I don't know anything about that. So what can you tell me?
I don't know how long it's been going on, but it's having a bit of a renaissance now. Everybody's kind of trying different things, but the classic beef is thinly sliced beef on a roll. You can do sweet or hot peppers, and you could dip it or have it not dipped in the jus. And that's it. It's pretty simple. Different neighborhoods have different sandwich shops. It's almost where you eat your Italian beef in Chicago is like, are you for the Cubs or for the White Sox? And people take a lot of pride in which one they like and where they like it from.
The show was a love letter to so many things like chefs, restaurants, but it was definitely a love letter to Chicago. I mean, the scenes of Chicago were beautiful. The sense of community and family that the show taps into. How did you feel when you found out your second show would be based in Chicago?
I was excited. I think I had like a moment of hesitation thinking my next thing right after Shameless, so I want to go right back to Chicago, but the story was too good to pass up. That sort of environment became not as important to me. And then also, like, Chicago's a lovely city. If I'm going to spend more time somewhere, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not Chicago? And you're right. Like, Chicago does play such a big role in the show. And it's a beautiful city. I've spent not a tremendous amount of time there. I mean, the longest sort of extended period I'd been there was for The Bear. Because for Shameless, we would only go there for about a week or so at a time. And it was so great. Like, I feel like I had my experience with Shameless and I understood that Chicago for what that Chicago was for me. And then I feel like I experienced a whole new one with this group of people and staying there for a long time. It really feels like a different world now, like two different Chicagos.
Jeremy, I want to ask you about the other cast members because this is such a tremendous ensemble piece. Had you and any of those folks ever worked together before?
Chris Dorr produced a movie I did a couple of years ago, the creator of it. So I knew him a little bit. I'd met Evan, who plays Richie, briefly. We have like a couple mutual friends, but never worked with him. And everybody else was pretty much brand new to me. We had a really wonderful casting director, Jeannie Bacharach. I just thank her because we had about a week of rehearsal before the pilot. Isn't a lot of time, but you usually don't get any time. So it was really nice to have. And things fell into place pretty quickly. And also when you're in that environment, it really drops you in when you're in a functioning kitchen. It feels real and everybody felt real so quickly. Yeah.
I'm rooting for you to get a second season for so many reasons, but especially because I want to know the backstories of all those characters in the kitchen.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the plan, if we do get to do some more, is to also do some sort of like standalone episodes, maybe, where there could be like a entire episode that's sort of from Mark's perspective, and we're just living in his world for an episode kind of thing. I hope that's something we get to do because I think all the characters are so rich and interesting, like nothing's two-dimensional. Even the characters that didn't have a lot of time this season, the actors are so good that you still get it.
I was very happy to see the guys in the dish pit represented. And you know who I just absolutely loved? I mean, Sydney was fantastic, but the actor who plays Tina,
Yeah, Liza. Yeah.
her journey through those 8 episodes.
She has a theater company here. She's been doing theater forever. Her husband's a really wonderful actor. Like she's been doing this for a very long time, and I'm really excited. I'm hoping this is like the beginning of some more stuff for her.
No,
Yeah.
she was fantastic. And you have some fun cameos in the show too. And these might be spoiler alerts. They might not be spoiler alerts because if you haven't watched it, you might want to tune out for a minute or two. But I loved seeing Oliver Platt in the show.
Yeah.
I wasn't even entirely sure that was him until the credits. And I was like, that was Oliver. Was that sort of an in-joke that he was in there because his brother is one of the most prominent restaurant critics in the country?
For folks who know that sort of thing, yes, I think it was like a little bit of a wink. He almost like played a version of his brother, I guess, in Chef, that Jon Favreau movie too. So yeah, it was like he's very knowledgeable on food and service, stuff like that, just spending time with his brother, and he likes good meals. But yeah, we were so excited to have him. He's such a wonderful actor. He works on another show in Chicago, one of those Dick Wolf shows. We spend so much time there, and they let us borrow him for a couple of days.
He was great. The scene at his house, I was dying. I won't say anything more, but oh my God. And then another cameo, Molly Ringwald.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that Molly was in there because I think it was like maybe the first 1.5 episodes, I kept thinking of The Breakfast Club because they filmed so much of The Breakfast Club right in the characters' faces.
Really tight, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that claustrophobic feeling that you get from, in a good way, The Breakfast Club, I felt like you really nailed in the first few episodes. And then all of a sudden, Molly Ringwald pops up, and I was like, well, that's strange. I was thinking about The Breakfast Club, and here's Molly.
Yeah, it was really cool. I might be getting this wrong, so forgive me, anybody who knows, but Evan, who plays Richie, his manager represents Molly. Molly's husband, I believe, is a publisher who was friends with Anthony Bourdain. And so there was even like a food connection somehow there as well. Like she read the script and was really supportive of the story and was like, yeah, I'll come do this monologue. She was so wonderful.
You mentioned the movie Chef. Do you have some favorite food films?
Big Night, I think, is like one of my all-time. And then I feel like I have to mention Burnt. John Wells, who was our showrunner on Shameless, directed this movie Burnt with Bradley Cooper. I really enjoyed it, and I thought Bradley Cooper was wonderful. And I also found it interesting. It's kind of his second time playing a chef. He played, I guess, a version of Anthony Bourdain on a Fox show called Confidential. Knowing that, I was interested why he wanted to kind of go back to that world.
Jeremy, what do you ultimately hope viewers take away regarding the world of chefs and small family-run restaurants?
It does take such commitment and passion and time, and the success rate is so slim. I want people to know how much these people are putting into these restaurants. What attracted me to the show was kind of this lonely man. He seemed very lonely to me, Carmy. And over the course of the show, he really starts to be able to let people in. And all those sorts of stories will always resonate with me more than anything. I think it's so universal. Somebody feeling alone and realizing they're not. So I hope that's something people can take away.
And I can't let you leave without asking for a few of your favorite restaurants.
Here in New York, I really like Frankie's in Carroll Gardens. I really like Lupali. I like Pastuli a lot. I like John and Vinny's. I like Pache in LA.
And what restaurants are on your bucket list?
Anglers is a place in LA that every chef, while I was working, that was their favorite place at the time. So I definitely want to go there. That's in Los Angeles. There's a place called Mother Wolf that just opened recently in Los Angeles that I really want to go to. That's a really wonderful chef from a restaurant called Felix on Abbot Kinney in Venice. Lionel, who plays Marcus on the show, in his preparation, he did a lot of baking in Copenhagen at the bakery that sends all of their bread to Noma. One night, Lionel went with some of the staff from the bakery, and they all ate at Noma. And I think that's something you have to try to do. You can.
Oh, that's wild. Noma got a lot of love in the series. And last question, if you could have anybody from the restaurant world do a cameo in a future season, who would it be?
You know what? I don't know. I'd love to have pasta grannies come and like be in an actual dream sequence with me rather than have me fall asleep watching them on TV. I think that would be really.
I love that. Fully support that. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much. I mean, again, what a tremendous show. I just hope everybody out there gets to watch it, and I hope we get lots of seasons. So beautifully played. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That's it for today's show. I would love for you to subscribe to Radio Cherry Bombe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave a rating and a review. Our theme song is by the band Tra La La. Joseph Hazen is the studio engineer for Newsstand Studios. Our producers are Catherine Baker and Elizabeth Vogt. Our associate producer is Jenna Sadhu, and our content operations manager is Londyn Crenshaw. Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the bomb.